The wind moves hard across the open fields of rural Pennsylvania tonight. Snow has been falling since early evening, piling in drifts along fence lines and barn doors. The temperature has dropped well below freezing, and the darkness feels absolute. But step inside one farmhouse along this quiet road, and the scene changes completely. A wood-burning stove glows steadily in the corner of the room. A kettle rests nearby, steam curling gently upward. A family sits close together, talking in low voices, entirely unbothered by the storm outside. There is no roaring gas furnace here, no electric central heating system, no thermostat mounted on the wall, and yet the room is warm. How can an Amish family stay warm through a freezing American winter without the heating systems most modern homes depend on? The answer is not one single method. It is a whole way of living, built up over generations and set in motion long before the first snow ever falls. For Amish families across Pennsylvania and other rural communities, winter is not something to simply get through. It is something to prepare for, carefully and deliberately. In areas where farmhouses sit far apart and winters can be long and severe, warmth is not a convenience. It is a necessity that has to be built piece by piece through fire, fuel, shelter, insulation, clothing, and above all, planning. This is the story of how that system works. At the heart of most Amish heating arrangements is the wood-burning stove. Cast iron, solidly built, and designed to hold heat rather than lose it quickly. These stoves radiate warmth not only into the air, but into the floor, walls, and furniture around them. The wood that feeds these stoves is chosen with care. Dry, properly seasoned firewood burns hotter and cleaner than wood still holding moisture. Green wood smokes heavily, clogs chimneys with creosote, and gives back far less heat for the effort. Because of this, firewood is often cut and split many months in advance, sometimes a full year ahead, and left to dry under cover in a woodshed or barn. Tending the fire is an ongoing task. Someone in the household checks it regularly through the day, feeding it before it burns too low and adjusting the airflow to keep the burn steady. Too much air and the wood disappears quickly without much warmth to show for it. Too little and the fire smolders weakly. Where the stove sits in the house matters as well. Many families place it centrally, often near the kitchen, so heat can move naturally into the rooms around it. Chimneys are inspected and cleaned regularly, since good ventilation is not just about comfort. A poorly maintained chimney can allow dangerous fumes to build up indoors. But the stove is only part of the story. A fire alone will not carry a house through a long winter. The real preparation begins long before the first snow. By late summer, while most of the country is still enjoying warm afternoons, many Amish households are already thinking ahead to January. Firewood is cut, split, and stacked in quantities meant to last the entire season, sometimes several cords, arranged so air can move through the pile and moisture can escape. The house itself gets attention too. Doors and windows are checked for gaps. Drafts are sealed, sometimes with caulking or weather stripping, sometimes with heavier curtains or fitted storm windows, depending on the family and the age of the home. Bedding is prepared as well. Wool blankets and heavy quilts come out of storage, ready for the coldest stretches. In some households, stones or bricks are warmed near the stove, wrapped in cloth, and placed in beds before the family turns in for the night. None of this happens at the last minute. It is knowledge carried forward from parents to children, refined through years of living with Pennsylvania winters. Producing heat solves only half the problem. Keeping it inside the house is the other half, and it is just as important. Older farmhouses are often built with thick wooden walls, and many have insulation added over the years to cut down on heat loss. Floors are frequently covered with heavy rugs, which help hold warmth and keep the cold from creeping up through the boards underneath. At night, heavy curtains are drawn across the windows, trapping warm air inside and blocking the draft that would otherwise settle in. Doors to rooms that aren't being used are often kept shut during the coldest months, so the family can concentrate what heat they have where it's actually needed. Heating a room is one challenge. Keeping the heat inside is another. And this is where the design of the home becomes important. Every closed door, every heavy curtain, every rug laid across a cold floor plays a small but real part in a much larger system. In many Amish homes, the room with the stove becomes, almost without anyone deciding it, the center of the household during winter. Cooking happens nearby. Meals are eaten close to the warmth. Evenings are spent together in that same space, children working through their studies by lamplight, parents mending clothes or reading nearby. The crackle of the fire fills the quiet. The smell of wood smoke settles into the walls. Warm light moves across the wooden furniture as snow gathers on the windowsills outside. On especially cold nights, some families move sleeping arrangements closer to the heated part of the house, particularly for young children or older relatives who feel the cold more sharply. This isn't just a matter of house layout. It reflects a way of organizing daily life around what's available, gathering not only for warmth itself, but because shared warmth becomes part of how the household functions all winter long. It would be easy to make this sound simpler than it is. It isn't. Cutting, splitting, and stacking enough wood to last a full winter is demanding physical labor, often shared across several members of a family over many weeks. A fire cannot be left unattended for long, especially overnight in severe cold, which means someone is always minding it. Storing a winter's worth of wood takes real space. Even with careful planning, a hard cold snap can make it difficult to keep every room of a large farmhouse evenly warm. Smoke and fire carry real risk, and chimneys need consistent upkeep to stay safe. It's also worth saying plainly that not every Amish family does this the same way. Different communities follow different rules, and some households use different equipment or more modern heating technology, depending on their circumstances. What's described here reflects common traditional practices, not a single fixed method followed everywhere. Traditional heating offers independence from modern utility systems, but that independence is earned through steady, ongoing work, not simply inherited. Outside, the snow keeps falling. The wind hasn't let up. The night remains dark and bitterly cold. Inside, the fire is still burning low and steady. The family is still gathered together, warm and unhurried, in a room shaped by generations of quiet, practical knowledge. The Amish approach to winter heating isn't really about living without electricity. It's about understanding exactly what it takes to stay warm and preparing for it deliberately, months in advance. Firewood, shelter, insulation, clothing, planning, knowledge, family. If the power went out during the coldest week of winter, would your home still have a way to stay warm? If this look into traditional Amish life meant something to you, consider subscribing for more documentaries about rural living, self-sufficiency, and the kind of knowledge that's slowly being forgotten.